Hindi natin pwedeng ma-miss ang mga important IRCC or immigration news about Canada. Binibigyan ang government ng more control, would allow the government to cancel, suspend, or modify immigration documents like visas, electronic travel authorizations or ETAs, and work or study permit. Good morning! Maayong buntag sa inyong tanan. Maayong buntag Calgary. Maayong buntag Canada. So let's start our video for today. Papunta lang kami sa school ni na Kuya David. Okay, let's go, let's go!
Move on the side out!
Right. So careful lang tayo and syempre very attentive tayo sa mga bata. Yun nga pala, mas madami ng wildfire na nangyayari dito sa Alberta and BC. Also in Saskatchewan. So, hopefully, maging better ang sitwasyon. There you go. And nakabalik na tayo sa bahay. So, nahatid na natin ang ating mga anak, si David and Lian. So, check na tayo on our first task. So, dun pala sa mga bago sa aming channel, mga around 60-70% ang nanonood sa amin pero hindi nagsasubscribe. Please consider subscribing para sa updated videos. And I actually started preparing our lunch too. So let's go and check it out. So for today's menu, and since nabigyan tayo ni Sis Dayan, thanks again Sis, ng pancit molo, I would do a molo soup for today. So, nagbo-boil lang tayo ng chicken para may chicken stock tayo. Lagay natin yung molo. And of course, favorite ng mga kids ko din, bihon. And then, nag-request din si Kuya Davon ng fried chicken. So, meron din tayong fried chicken for lunch. So, cooking lang din ako while nag-answer ng mga emails and the usual work. Meetings. Okay, so there you go. You say hi to our YouTube channel. You say hi, Alba Fam. Okay, busy at naglalaro niya kanyang mga cars. Hey fam, and I'm upstairs. So let's check it out. Ang ating pancit or molo. Pancit molo. So, Ilonggo dish yan siya. And tingnan naman natin ang ating fried chicken. At gutom na daw si Kuya. And understandable Sam kasi mag 2 PM na eh. So, kawawa naman ang Kuya David ko. Anyway, ito yung fried chicken. Medyo natusta ng konti. But it's fine. And sobrang gutom na daw talaga si Kuya. He's eating. What are you eating? Apple na. Okay, so Daddy will just prepare our rice and our pancit molo. Dito na to kasi nilagyan ko lang siya ng bihon para may extra kick and may extra carbs tayo for that. Eating time na. Medyo nasunog yung chicken ko. And this is our pancit molo and our chicken. And I forgot something. Lagyan natin ng garlic.
Huh? Garlic?
Yes. So hapon na dito sa Calgary. And si Mommy ang nagda-drive. At nakasasakyan nga pala kami kasi medyo smoky, hazy talaga ang panahon and at the same time malamig. So hazy kasi madaming wildfires around Alberta, BC and even Saskatchewan as I mentioned kanina na rin. So papunta na kami kay Lianica, actually super duper lapit lang. Pero yun nga, smoky siya eh. So medyo delikado. Kaninang morning naman medyo okay pa, pero ngayon talaga as in parang malabo talaga yung sky na. And medyo amoy mo talaga yung smoke hazy
when you're
outside.
Longer outside.
Hi, my baby girl. You say hi to the Alba fam bam. Hi, my
Daddy,
baby.
when we do the previous song, Daddy,
Okay,
where
yes.
we going?
We're going homie. Ang nakakatawa to si Lian. Kasi pag susunduin namin siya, tapos nakasasakyan, ang assumption niya agad,
We're going somewhere else.
we're going somewhere. Mamamasyal. Pero uuwi lang naman kami. Kasi nga summer, so yun yung expectation niya.
When we are going somewhere.
Yeah, we're going somewhere. It's called our house. You're confused? Okay. Okay, so see you later, fam. And there we go, fam. Ready to eat? Again, syempre, ulit lang naman yung ulam from lunchtime.
Yes.
So, fried chicken and molo. Dinamihan ko na yung fried garlic and scrambled eggs. Ayan na si Mami and si Lianica. Hindi natin pwedeng ma-miss ang mga important IRCC or immigration news about Canada. So for today's video, and mainit-init pa to, they've just updated the rules and details of the 4 new Canada immigration reforms that are coming for temporary residents. So isa-isahin natin to. 4 lang naman. More or less straightforward din siya. And of course, mas pinahigpit lalo and binibigyan ang government ng more control depende sa kung ano ang nangyayari sa lipunan or tinatawag nilang public interest. So without further ado, let's get it on. So number 1, controlling immigration documents. So here in the article and as well as in the Canada.ca, they're saying here that the proposed act would allow the government to cancel, suspend, or modify immigration documents like visas, electronic travel authorizations or ETAs, and work or study permit in the public interests. It could also pause new applications, but these powers do not apply to asylum claims, which is also one of the topic to be discussed on the 3rd and 4th point. So, the question is, what constitutes public interest? Kasi yun yung pagbabasihan kung bakit magka-cancel, magsa-stop, magpo-pause ng mga application. So the public interest is broadly defined, basically allowing flexibility to address a range of scenarios. Couple of scenarios here that stated large-scale emergencies. So kung may mga natural disaster, geopolitical crises, and require public policy adjustments. Like for example, knock on wood, may malaking sunog dito sa Alberta. They could pause and stop the processing or even suspend the issuance of ETAs, travel documents, work or study permits. Of course, it would be in the public interest to safeguard first the residents here in Alberta, to prevent then further damage. Kasi magpaparating ka ng mga tao, may endanger din yung mga bagong tao and all. That's just one example. Second point, under the public interest is risks to immigration or program fairness. So for instance, kunyari addressing fraudulent applications or misuse of immigration pathways. So we all know na may mga bad actors currently here in Canada na naa-abuse ang certain pathways or nagagawan nila ng paraan through fraudulent means ang ibang pathways para ma-abuse. So for example, fraudulent LAMIA issuance or fake LAMIA issuance or for example, other PR pathways na may mga loopholes, ito magfo-fall siya under public interest, which could be reviewed by the authorities and masastop nila ang mga processes or fraudulent activities na to. Third point, under public interest as well, is safety, security, and health risks. So for example, coming from the past, example lang ay may isang COVID incident again na mangyari. The authorities can have this reviewed right away and take action and stop, suspend, or cancel any visas. So ito yung parang nagbibigay ng power sa kanila and wiggle room para magkaroon sila ng, in a sense, power to suspend, stop, or cancel without further implications dun sa kanilang authority. Another point here is misuse of government-funded programs. So this prevents fraud in programs like social benefits or settlement services. So I'm not really aware of an instance, or I haven't read any news article about taking advantage of social benefits or settlement services. Kung meron kayo, please share in the comment below. But I would be really interested kasi social benefits, medyo sensitive to sa public interest. Like for example, your child care benefit or other forms of benefit na pwedeng ma-misuse or ma-abuse ng certain actors. Hindi natin alam kung paano. Pero pag na-discover to ng authorities, they could act on it and suspend then or cancel the relevant visas or ETAs or whatever document that you have para ma-prevent ang pangyayaring ito so that they could prevent it. Having that said, paano to mangyayari? So hindi lang naman ang IRCC, like for example, may nangyayaring ganito, hindi lang naman in an instant pwedeng gawin na, okay, we're IRCC, let's declare, suspend lahat. No. They would still go through some processes, and this would be under the governor in council or the governor general acting on the advice of the cabinet para may oversight din. Kasi alam mo yun, balance, control. So parang government institutions lang yan, legislative, judiciary, and executive. So dapat may balance and control din siya. So each decision will consider factors such as potential impact, population, minors, refugees. I think the whole community would be considered as well. Different factors yan. And of course, any immigration documents will not be automatically revoked. For example, permanent or temporary resident status. As existing laws already govern status revocation processes. So, of course, very familiar tayo. Like, for example, even if you're a permanent resident, pag nag-drive ka recklessly, overspeeding, like mataas talaga yung speed mo, nakainom, and nakabangga ka, I think this would constitute cancellation of your permanent residency. Kasi madaming considerations yon. You're not an asset of Canada, nandito ka sa Canada, na nagbibigay ka or nagdudulot ka ng pinsala sa Canadian society and community. Ikaw ba naman mag-drive ng napakabilis and nakainom pa and nakabangga ka? I think I've read an article previously and I think I shared it here before then na that would merit a cancellation of your permanent residency for sure. I'm pretty sure of that. So that's just one example kung paano ma-cancel ang permanent residency mo. But going back to the topic, may mga processes talaga na sinusunod ang government in order for a temporary resident or a permanent resident for their visas to get canceled. So, more or less, hindi tayo masyadong mag-worry. It's just that yung mga papunta dito, mag-student pa lang, mag-temporary resident pa lang, yun yung parang may alangan kasi just in case na nangyaring may public interest based on those 4 points that I've highlighted at nagkaroon ng approval, they could cancel the visa. They could suspend issuance of visa and ETAs. So ano ang epekto nito for immigrants and temporary residents? So of course, greater scrutiny of immigration documents, which is faster identification of fraudulent application. So in a sense, mas mapapabilis nilang ma-identify and detect kung peke ba yung LAMIA, through fraudulent means mo ba na-obtain ang ETAs mo, and other considerations pa. So, madaming advantages to, and as well as disadvantages. Ang disadvantage na isang na-highlight dito ay, for example, nag-suspend sila ng issuance ng mga visas. Of course, magkakaroon ka ng uncertainty. Siyempre, nakaplano na pupunta ka dito, nakaset aside na yung pera, nakaset aside na yung timeline mo, and then bigla nilang i-pause or nag-suspend muna sila ng issuance ng visa. So, parang mali-left hanging ka doon sa sitwasyon na yun. Ano naman for Canadians? So, this would enhance, again, the scrutiny of documents, and mas ma-identify nila yung mga tao talaga na valid yung visas, as well as yung mga eligible people na makaka-enjoy ng benefits na nandito sa Canada. So, hindi lang naman to ginawa for the temporary residents or the Canadians. Para din sa mga policy makers or government. Kasi mas mapapa-improve yung reaction time nila and yung execution time nila to address certain fraudulent means and to maintain the resiliency of the immigration system. Okay, let's go to main topic number 2, streamlining domestic information sharing. So itong Strong Borders Act proposes legislative changes to streamline how immigration, IRCC, shares applicant information with domestic partners, including federal, provincial, and territorial governments. So more or less, it's the same thing. Speedy, more transparent, more scrutiny ang mga documentations at masishare nila throughout Canada and to all over the departments. So, direct sharing ng IRCC, and for sure, may naka-in place yan na privacy protections. Alam nyo naman sa Canada, very strict ang privacy dito. You couldn't just share information. Kahit naman sa Pilipinas, like bank secrecy law and others. So, this is very good. And this is as well would prevent bad actors again from hopefully coming to Canada. Ano ang epekto nito sa mga immigrants? Faster access to services with support integrations. But individuals may have concerns about their data is shared and protected. So I'm not really that of concern pagdating sa sharing within Canada of my information kasi alam ko naman na pinaprocess ng government yan and pinoprotektahan ng government yan. I'm pretty sure I have trust in the system, so hopefully they maintain that. But yeah, that's my view. Again, sharing of information is vital for the government, lalo na pag ang topic ay protection of the community, protection of the residents, protection of the citizens. So, mapapaigting pa nila lalo ang investigation, ang protection, ang pagka-coordinate ng mga different bodies or government bodies such as police, IRCC, RCMP, and others na pwede nilang tawaging umbrella for security and all. So, very good. The other two topics that are remaining, iisahin ko na lang sila. It's more or less under an umbrella topic of asylum claim. So the third main point here that they want to reform, alam naman natin na sobrang dami ng asylum claims ngayon. And isa ito sa tinitingnan ng IRCC na na-abuse. And hindi pwedeng ganito kasi yung integrity ng asylum system ang naapektuhan. So you need to have a balance between kung sino ba talaga yung legitimate asylum seekers or ginagawa lang ang asylum or ang excuse ng asylum para makapag-stay dito sa Canada. So the other two topics, yun lang ang nilalaman niya. So basically, just to streamline the asylum claim processing, So, pinapamadali lang nila. Gumawa lang sila ng ways para mapadali. So, a couple of points here, like simplified application process, faster referrals to the IRB or Refugee Board of Canada, physical presence requirement, kasi siguro may mga claims yung iba na online lang, hindi na nila nakikita, but then approve yung application. So, we don't really know on what fraudulent activities happened within the refugee board or kung paano ginagawa ng mga bad actors para makalusot dito. And clearing inactive cases kasi sobrang laki ng backlog ditong asylum. And ayun nga, sinabi ko kanina, ito yung isang means na tinatake advantage ng mga bad actors para makapag-stay dito sa Canada. Parang for example, expired na yung work permit mo. And you would just declare, oh, my country is at war right now. I'll seek asylum again. So pag ganun kasi, once na nag-seek ka ng asylum in a sense while pending application or while pending approval or decision, nakaka-extend ka ng stay dito sa Canada. So yun yung parang tinitingnan nilang gusto nilang iwasan. And then faster voluntary departures, of course, once na mas mabilis nilang ma-identify na, okay, fake yung asylum claim mo, hindi ka na pwede dito, pwede ka nilang paalisin agad. And the last topic is the new asylum claims ineligibilities. Like for example, this 1-year rule where asylum claims made more than 1 year after the individual's arrival in Canada. Ang tagal nun. Like 1 year. So habang 1 year pinaprocess yun, fam, nandito siya sa Canada, will not be referred to the refugee board. This applies to all individuals, including students, temporary residents, regardless of whether they left and re-entered Canada. Meron din ditong 14-day rule for irregular entries. So parang nagpabalik-balik ka ng crossing ng border between US. This is an example here. And and file a claim after 14 days. You will not be referred to the refugee board. Ayun, so hopefully nakatulong tong quick update ko sa inyo about the 4 new reforms. Hopefully may napulot kayong aral. Let me know if I missed anything down in the comments below. I appreciate you guys watching. Again, dun sa 60% na hindi pa nakasubscribe sa amin na nanonood, please consider subscribing. So, salamat again. And this is Lawrence. Maayong adlaw, maayong gabi, and kita-kita ta sa sunod na video. Hang loose!